you must be interested in learning about tax lien certificates and tax auctions. And what a coincidence, because we're here with the authority on such matters. We're here with Ted Thomas. Ted, great to see you again.
Thanks. Good to see you, Rennie. So do we have some questions already, or any up on the screen? Or we're going to wait a little bit for some people to send their questions in.
Well, first of all, we have to hear about your shirt there, Ted. Your shirts are fantastic. Where does this one come from? Yeah, all right. That is a Florida shirt, Ted. I love it. Okay, we got our first question here, Ted.
All right, good.
So, and the question is this: how long is the turnaround time after I purchase a tax lien certificate?
Okay, well, that's going to depend upon what the people do about paying taxes. So when you buy a tax lien certificate, what you do is you raise your hand at the auction and you bid on the certificate, and now you've paid someone else's taxes. So you now have to wait while the clock goes tick, 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 and until they come in and pay their taxes. Meanwhile, the local government will have sent you a tax lien certificate that looks just like that. And so that tax certificate, now you'll just hold that certificate. So it's a passive investment. And that investment means that you invested, now you just take the certificate home, you put it on your desk, you don't do any more work until they pay. Then when they pay the county. So they never pay you. You invest with the government, you get your check back from the government. And that could take, the shortest period could be a couple of days, or in a place like Arizona, you might have to wait 3 years. And so during that 3 years, the tenants or the person that lives in the property stays in the property, and you just have to wait until they pay.
Well, in getting your profit from the government, that raises a good question, Ted, that somebody's asking. Yeah. Do I have to pay taxes on my tax lien certificate profit?
If you make a profit in the United States, the IRS really wants to know about you. And so you will give your social security number and so on. And they will, if you don't pay them, they'll let you know you didn't pay, and they'll visit with you.
Yeah. Okay. That's so there's no free ride anywhere, not even the tax.
No free ride. That's it. You have to pay taxes. Yeah.
Well, we have another question here. You've mentioned in the past that the county will evict a homeowner or an occupant from the house, and is that true in all cases?
Well, not with tax lien certificates. We're talking about tax lien certificates right now. A tax lien certificate allows the property owner to stay in or on the property. We use the word on the property for the whole time. They can be in default for 2 years, 364 days. They can stay on that property. If they pay at the end of that third year, well, then they're still going to stay on the property. It's when they don't pay that the county now will take action. The legislature, of course, authorized them to do that. And what they'll do is they'll move the people off the property, and the person that owned the tax certificate will now own the property. So they move them off the property at that point. So you have no right to the property. You have no right to disturb the people or anything. A tax lien certificate is an alternative investment. It's not only alternative, but it's an investment that's passive. You don't do any work. The whole reason they created them was so that the government could have money to run the government. And so they just made an investment that's predictable, it's certain, it's secure. So the person who wanted to buy a tax certificate, they're buying a very secure investment.
Well, when you buy one of those, Ted, and this kind of gets on to, you've been to a lot of these and auctions and with the liens and all, how do you determine your max bid?
Well, you're going to determine it by whatever the rules are for that auction. So we have over 3,000 counties in the United States. Half of the counties in the United States can sell tax liens. The other half, all counties can sell tax defaulted property. So if you're buying tax lien certificates, let's use Arizona or Florida as the example. So in Florida, the tax lien certificate, the maximum that they would pay would be 18%. The next bid is 17.5. Then it goes to 17, 16.5. It's a reverse auction. The lowest bidder will get the property, will get the tax certificate. So it's made to protect the property owner. Now let's change the ballgame. Let's buy in a state that sells a tax defaulted property. A tax defaulted property will come up for auction because someone didn't pay their tax. So the government will confiscate, they'll take the property away from them. and then they'll auction the property with a starting bid of very close to the back taxes. So you could have a property that's worth $200,000, and it could start the bidding at $5,000 or $7,000. It could start very low. Now that doesn't mean it's going to sell for that. It's going to sell to the highest bidder. So a $200,000 property, what would you be willing to pay? Well, some people say, I'll pay $25,000, 10 cents on the dollar. Someone else would say, I'll pay $100,000 for it. All right, so that wouldn't be a bad deal if you thought about it. $200,000 property, you bought it for $100,000. Now I wouldn't pay that much, but somebody might pay that. So that's how you determine your bidding. You don't do it by anything. It's not artificial. What you really want to do is you'd never want to buy a property that you hadn't seen the property. So you want to have boots on the ground and go look at the property. But then you're there, you can look around and see what the location, the neighborhood is, and you could determine what you're willing to pay based on what you could sell it for. So we teach people to buy property low, sell it low, so that they don't have to go through an extensive selling process. So a $200,000 property, we'd like to get it for, say, 20 cents on the dollar. So it's 200,000, 20 cents on the dollar would be 40,000. All right, that would be a good deal. What would you sell it for? Well, for me, I would sell the thing for 80,000 in a minute. Well, if you're a buyer, would you like to have a $200,000 property for 80,000? Yes.
Heck
So
yeah.
I'm going to be able to sell it quickly. So I don't have to sell. I mean, that's what people like about Ted Thomas. I teach people to buy low and sell low. Everybody else that's teaching about real estate says buy it low and sell it high. Not me. I teach buy it low, sell it low, get your profit and move on. That's a nice
Another
profit.
question.
Why not move on and make a profit and do it again? There's going to be 5,000 tax auctions this year. 99% of the public doesn't even know there's tax auctions. So you're going to make your money when you buy, not when you sell. You're going to make your money when you buy. You collect your money when you sell. How many people do you think even think that way? They're saying buy it low and sell it high. Forget all that. Buy it low, sell it low, take your money to the bank and go do it again. You got a nice cash flow machine. That's the
It's
name of the game.
kind of a unique strategy, and it sounds like a Ted Thomas strategy is what it is. and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
working.
Well, people are going to criticize the other guy, but I've heard a lot of criticism of that. Here's what people will say: there's a $200,000 property. I want to buy it for 20 cents on the dollar. That's what I want. I don't know if I'm going to get it, but let's say I can get it for $40,000. Worth 200. I bought it for 40. All right. Everybody else is going to say, go for the maximum profit. I don't mind what everybody else does. I know what will work, and what will work is I can sell the reason students like me is they like me because I say, let's sell it quickly and not have to go through an anguishing process that's going to take us months. I can tell you right now, if you bought a property for $40,000 and you're willing to sell it for $80,000, you're going to be overloaded with people who want to buy from you. All the fixer-uppers, all the flippers, all the people in the neighborhood, anybody that you wanted to find on MLS, or anybody wanted to find on eBay, anybody wanted to find on Craigslist. I mean, everybody's going to come to me and want to buy that property instantaneously. Well, I'm okay with that. I make a profit. I can move on to the next auction. There's 5,000 auctions. I'm not going to just do this once. I can do this once a month. What's wrong with that? Kind of crazy.
You ready for another question, Ted?
Yeah.
Next question is, how do you know if a property is homestead?
Well, all property information throughout the United States is located right next to where you live because your county office is a public record office. The public record office will tell you anything you want to know about a property. For example, if I thought your property was in bankruptcy or I thought anything about it, I could just take the property tax number or your address, go look it up, and everything about your property, whether it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, whether it's brown or yellow, whether it's 2 stories, 5 stories, 1,000 feet, 5,000 square feet, it's all at the county records. That's public knowledge for everybody in the United States to know. Everybody in the world can know. Anybody can go to the public records.
Well, I don't know if you saw 60 Minutes yesterday, the president said that the pandemic is over, but we have a question here. How has COVID affected this business? Is there any lingering effects of COVID on this business?
Yeah, there's a big lingering effect. We got a lot of people that are still sick, and they're going to have to carry that in their bodies for a long time. It doesn't affect the real estate business. The real estate business became better and made prices go up because we put a lot of builders out of business, and now we're putting a lot of people out of business because it took the interest rates, and in the past 60 days, the interest rates have doubled. Anytime that you double the interest rate, you get rid of a lot of people from the buyers part of the market. So if you go to the Wall Street Journal or you watch television, you'll find out that the markets, as a result of the pandemic, are now going to go into a recession because the interest rates went so high. So it's made the markets difficult. If you want to talk about just tax liens and tax deeds, tax lien business is stable. It's not going to, the real estate works in a cycle. It goes up, 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 then it slowly comes down, 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 then it goes back up. It's just a sine wave, and it continues like that. So you don't have to be an economist to figure it out. If interest rates go up, real estate will go down in value. Interest rates go up, real estate comes down in value. All right. Then when it gets to a certain point, it will then start back up again. That cycle goes 5 and 7 and 10-year cycles. You can watch it. I've watched it. I'm 83 years old, so I can tell you I've watched it many times. Real estate doesn't go up massively like that. Real estate goes like this, little teeny notches, and then it'll jump, and then little teeny notches. Then all of a sudden you look 10 years later, or ask your parents, they bought at this price and now the house is this price. So real estate's a cycle. Pandemic really slowed things down for the real estate, but it didn't slow down the tax lien and deed business. It's the same. It's stable because it's a lagging market. We lag the market by 2 or 3 years. You have to wait for the property to default. Then the government has to take action to take it over. Then they have to advertise it. We don't see the property until it's had problems for 18 months or 2 years.
Our next question is, do you think California is a good place to invest?
I think every state's a good place to invest. Your backyard is a good place to invest. You just have to be an educated investor. I have students that buy in Los Angeles, California for 8 and 10 cents on the dollar. I have people that buy in Bakersfield, California, right north of Los Angeles, for 6 cents on the dollar. So there's nothing wrong with California. Did I say every property in California was valuable? No. I want to be a bargain hunter and buy at the tax defaulted auction. So I learned to research. And once I learned to research, then I can simply see, all right, these properties are selling way under the market. And when I buy a property in California, it has no mortgage on it. It has no deed of trust on it. What's better than that? So now I'm buying property without mortgage or deed of trust. And what if I can buy it for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar? I would say that would be a good place for me to buy property. And there's thousands to choose from.
Well, while we're talking about California, there's another specific question about property there. When a county confiscates a property in California, do they transfer the deed from tax default owner to the county name?
Yes, the county's going to have to take over the property. That same question came in today on the email. It's amazing. So it's the same person. But the point is, when the county takes over the property, they now own that property. And so when they're going to sell the property at the auction, they're going to issue, it'll depend upon the county. It could be a treasurer's deed. It could be a commissioner's deed. It could be any number of different names, but it's always going to have the effect, I said effect, of a quit claim deed. And so you're going to get a quit claim deed from the county to you as an individual. You're not going to be able to sell the property until you do something about that.
Ted, you talked about the ups and downs of the cycles and waves, but this next question is, if the market crashes, can you still do this business?
Well, yes, of course you could still do the business because the market's going to crash. A crash in the market would be a 20 or 30% drop. We have properties that have a value of $100,000 that are being sold for just the back taxes. So let's say the back taxes involved 5 or 10%. So there's that huge margin. So there's still that huge margin in between that. So people that are asking that question, they need to think about the property will be sold at very close to the back taxes. They'll start the bid at the back taxes. What people will bid on it is the savvy bidders will have gone out and looked to see what they could sell it for. So the key is, what can you sell the property? So you buy based on what you can sell it for.
Next question is on tax liens. How is the interest paid on tax liens compounded?
To my knowledge, I don't know how you'd compound tax liens. Tax lien certificates pay simple interest from the county, and the county will pay whatever that county has established. So it really is established as a statewide rate. For example, Iowa pays 24%. It's a simple rate of return. A place like Illinois pays 36%. A place like Arizona would pay 16%. The legislature of the state will determine the amount, but it'll be a simple rate of interest.
Well, another question here. Somebody's obviously been watching some of your videos. I know you talk a lot about tax liens and tax deed investing. Do you have any other topics you cover on YouTube?
I'm a specialist at tax liens and tax deeds, but that doesn't mean I don't talk about other things. I mean, we talk about how to sell things, which is important because if you buy it, you're going to have to sell it. We talk definitely about how to go look at property and make sure that they understand, what they're buying. I mean, if you don't know the condition of the property, that would be very important. If you don't know how to sell it, that would be very important. If you don't know that when you go to an auction that you have to read the rules, that would be important. So there's more to tax liens and tax deeds than me saying it's 16% in Arizona, it's 18% in Florida.
Well, here's an optimistic question, Ted. How long does it take to get to where I can quit my day job?
It's going to be up to you. How much do you really want what you want? So if you really want something, you need to think about that. You really want something, you'll be aggressive and get it done quickly. I have no way. I'm not a forecaster. I'm just a guy that knows about tax liens and deeds. Okay.
What's the max bid that I can make on a tax lien?
The max bid? I don't know. There is a max bid. I have no idea. I don't know. I've never heard the question. Tax lien certificates, the price of the certificate is going to be the back taxes. So it wouldn't be a max bid on that or a minimum bid. It would be the back taxes. As a matter of fact, for those people that you just brought a question up about YouTube, and I forgot to mention, I want to show you just. Can we show them a short video on what we do on YouTube? Austin, are you still there?
Yeah. Hey, Austin, we're going to take a look at what else
look
they
at
have on
that
YouTube.
little short video I do on YouTube for the people that want to do that? Because a lot of people, if they want to go to that, they could go to my YouTube channel and see. There's videos there all the time. Do we have a video on that? I guess the point was we got a lot of videos they can watch on YouTube if they want.
Over 350 of them. So
yeah,
so hey,
at least 5 every week.
Well, there's a newbie who's watching, and his question is: I have $3,000 to use towards anything I want to do. What's the safest, cheapest way that I can enter using this strategy, and what state would you suggest I start with?
Okay, I always suggest you start with the state where you live so you don't have a lot of travel expenses. However, in today's age, you can do everything online, but you've got $3,000 and you want to be safe. I personally believe the safest investment that you can make today is a tax lien certificate. Now, what are you doing when you buy a tax lien certificate? Well, first of all, you're going to buy a piece of paper. You're not going to buy property. But the way you buy the piece of paper is this. You're going to invest the money with the county. County's going to use that money. You just paid someone's taxes, so the county's going to use that money to take care of a lot of county bills. All right, when that person comes in and pay their tax, 95, 97% will pay their tax. When they come in and pay their tax, you'll get your money back, and then whatever rate you bid on the tax certificate, you'll get that as an interest return. But meanwhile, you bought a predictable, certain, and secure investment. Now, only two things can happen with a tax certificate. One, you get the certificate, okay? Two, you paid for it. Now, once you're paid for it, you just wait for your money. If you don't get paid, you will end up with that piece of property. So that's a pretty safe investment.
Got another question here that's specific to a state, Ted. In Texas, I am am I responsible for paying the new taxes if an AG or homestead exempt property owner hasn't redeemed after the first year?
I have no idea. I'd have to go to the um, Texas statutes and research it. So what that person should do is they should go to the statutes of Texas and look up the question is way too complex for me to answer. So go to the statutes, that's the law for the state, and research that, and it'll tell you. And it you might have to read it a couple of times, and if you don't completely understand it, call an attorney and ask an attorney to explain it, or maybe even a real estate broker would be happy to do that.
Well, somebody else was asking. They're looking for help to make my first tax lien or deed in Texas home purchase.
Okay, well, Texas doesn't sell tax lien certificates, just so you know. They sell tax deeds, which means they're going to sell the property. But Texas is a redeemable state. So that means when you buy a tax defaulted property, they're going to give you a deed to the property. So they're going to transfer it to you. However, the person that owned that property has 180 days to come back and redeem that certificate. So it's a redeemable certificate. So for 180 days, you can't go there and push the people off the property or anything. They're going to stay on the property. All right, for 180 days, that owner can come in and redeem it. If they come in and redeem it, you're going to rejoice because you're not only going to get all your money back, but you're going to get a 25% return. It's a powerful rate of money.
Now, you've already mentioned that there's a lot of opportunities that come up throughout the year here to do this. So this next question is, can I do this outside of the U.S.?
If you're living outside the U.S., I assume that's the question, but I don't know if other states and counties or countries, I should say, sell tax liens. Indeed, you'd have to go there and find out. But if you lived outside the United States and you had a USA bank account, you have to have a dollar account, and it would be wise that you were well versed in English because the counties that are selling these, I'm not selling them, the county is selling them. And to my knowledge, the county only speaks one language, and that's English, which is the official language. So you need dollars to do as an investment, and you need to speak English so that you can communicate with them. So you can do it. I have hundreds, maybe even thousands of clients in Canada. We have clients in the United Kingdom. We have anywhere that they can get a USA bank account, in other words, a dollar account, they could do this.
What strategy can I use to own the property outright?
Well, that's easy. Just go to tax defaulted auctions, and when you bid at the auction, the high bidder gets the property. That's really easy.
That is pretty easy.
Every county in the United States, every county, and there's more than 3,000 of them, will sell tax defaulted property. Let me say that all over again. Every county in the United States, over 3,000 of them, sells tax defaulted property. Okay, half of the counties, before they sell the tax defaulted property, are very benevolent. And they're very benevolent because they say, oh, we'll sell you a tax lien certificate. All right, if they put the tax lien certificate up for sale and nobody buys it, I can assure you right now, they will ultimately sell the property at a tax defaulted auction. All counties are not going to just leave the properties out there. They're going to confiscate the property, push anybody on the property off the property, and then they're going to sell it, and they'll sell it to the highest bidder.
A lot of counties out there doing this, Ted, and this next question is about that. Is it better to go to an auction in a small county or go to an auction with a large population?
Well, you do your research ahead of time, but I can tell you the counties with small populations, they're going to have a dozen, maybe up to 100 properties because there's a small population. All right. So only so many properties will go into default. But a large population county, let's say Los Angeles, there's a large population, 3 million, 4 million, whatever. All right. Now, when they have millions of people, now they're going to have hundreds, even thousands of properties to sell. So if you go to that small county, you're going to be able to go to many of those auctions and find just what you want. You go to Los Angeles, they're going to have at least one, or maybe even two auctions a year, and it's going to be very, very busy because they're going to sell literally hundreds of properties all day long, literally hundreds. There will be more properties than they can sell. I've never been to an auction that they can sell all the property because they move so quickly, and there's usually an abundance of property for people to buy.
How much does it take to get started with tax liens?
The more the better, that's for sure, because you can make better deals. But you could buy, think of, I'm holding my hand up and I'm just showing you a little piece of property like that, enough to put a telephone pole on, because what happens if properties are left over and they have a tax number, they'll sell them. So it might be enough to put a sign on, for example. All right, so if that was a tax lien certificate, you might buy it for $50. Okay, but remember, if it was earning 20%, what's 20% of $50? It's not very much money. So you could start small. You shouldn't just plan on the business because you're making small investments. The thing that you want to think about is, what do you want to grow your business to be? So if you start small and you only have a $1,000 or $3,000, you're gonna have to be very cautious that you make money with that one, and then you're gonna have to go to the next one, and you're gonna go to the next one. It would be better to start out with a little bit more money and make enough so that you can grow your portfolio. Growing a $2,000 or $5,000 portfolio is going to take a long time. I didn't say you couldn't do it. I just said it's going to take you a long time.
Well, another question related. If I'm a newbie, do you offer a 4 dummies beginner program to get started?
I don't offer a 4 dummies beginner
I didn't think you'd call it that, Ted. No way.
Yeah. Okay. I don't mind you asking the question, but I can tell you this: I'm in the business of teaching people how to make $25,000 and $50,000 on one deal. If they want to do tax liens and deeds for security and do that in an IRA or a Roth IRA or a pension plan, I'm all for that. I'm in the business of teaching investors. So if people ask questions about small investments, this probably isn't a good place to start. It's going to take you too long. It's going to take you way too long. And I'm not in the business of betting. I'm in the business of buying substantial properties and then reselling them. I'm a serious investor, and that's what I teach people to be.
Next question is about getting back to tax lien certificates. Can you overpay on a tax lien certificate? Meaning, can the interest not cover what you paid for that certificate?
Well, sure, you could make mistakes. If you bought something that was worthless, which people do, if you buy something that's worthless, what if it was, for example, what if it was a lot that was under a lake? Somehow the county had a lot and it was under the lake and they sold it. Well, you're going to lose your money. You're going to lose it. What are you going to do with it? Who's going to buy it from you? You're going to just have your money's just going to go away. So you would never want to buy anything that you didn't know the value of. Okay, so people say, well, what are you teaching? Well, that's what I'm teaching. I'm saying, wait a minute, let's figure out what the value of this is. Don't just bid. Don't just say, I'm going to the auction and go and start bidding. You need to be trained and learn to go and figure out what the condition of the property is, what you're going to do with it when you get it, how you're going to sell it, what kind of financing is going to be available to sell it. It's not, I'm not reaching in my sides for my holster and shooting my gun. This is a serious business. You have to think about it before you do it. I'd never buy anything. You certainly wouldn't marry the woman without seeing her. Well, it's the same situation here. People want to go to a tax auction. They want to take out the list and point, I'm going to buy that, I'm going to buy that. If you don't have any idea what you're buying, well, I can tell you, you won't have any money after a very short period of time. You could buy all kinds of tax certificates. I have people, and I have to retrain them. They're out buying at the auction. Then they call me up and say, well, the house is burned down. What can I do about it? I can say, well, you got a worthless piece of junk on your hands, because who wants to burn down house? Did you go and look first? I said, oh, no, I didn't look. I just bought it off the auction list. I have people do that all the time. And it's too late. They didn't come to me first. They came to me afterwards. I get them when it's too late. It's like the dentist, if the tooth is all gone, well, you might not be able to recover that tooth. You might just have to come out. All right. So training is the most important part of the business. But people think they're going to, for a couple of YouTube videos, they're going to go down and buy a property and make a fortune. It's not going to happen. If someone's telling you it is, they're smoking something that I don't smoke.
Well, hey, another viewer is just starting out, and they decided to focus on over-the-counter liens in Florida. Most seem to be empty lots, Is that a good way to start out?
Well, first of all, if you're asking Ted Thomas, you're going to find out I love residential vacant lots. I love those at the auction, and they'll be just as good over the counter because I can go check on it and see if it has a value before I bid. Okay, now before I bid, I can check. If I'm going to buy over the counter, I can check. So I like residential lots because other people aren't bidding on them. All right, why do I like them? Because I know what to do with them. For example, I don't buy them because I like them. I buy them because I know other people will want them. And so if I can buy them for a low price, then I don't have to ask a high price. So I buy at a low price, then I sell at a low price, maybe make a $10,000 or a $20,000 profit. I buy properties in places like Snohomish County, which is Seattle. I buy in King County, which is Seattle. Lots there can sell. You can buy them at auction sometime for $40,000 and they're worth 120 and 150. In Riverside, California, I have clients buying properties for $50,000 and then reselling them for $100,000. All right, whether you bought them at the auction or whether you bought them over the counter, they're both good because you can do your research. This is a business of research. The people that know how to use the computer and are willing to get off their rusty dusty and look at the property, they're going to do fine. The people that want to look at a list and guess that they're going to get rich, they're going to lose their assets. They're going to lose their assets. That's what's going to happen to them.
Next question, Ted. If the certificate doesn't redeem and I don't want the property, will I get the property free and clear, or can it have other liens on it? I think what they're asking is if I get stuck with something.
That's three questions in one. That's three.
Yeah,
one.
yeah. It sounds like they're asking.
Well,
it sounds like they're asking if I don't want the property because the certificate doesn't redeem, could I still be saved because there might be other liens on it?
Okay, well, it's not a because situation. If you bought a tax lien certificate and the people don't pay, you're going to have to go through a process of foreclosing. So that's going to cost you some money. It's going to cost you $700 or $1,000. Now you've got the property and you're saying you don't want it. Well, you don't have to take it. Don't take it. Just leave it there. And the government will take it over. And when they take it over, they'll sell it to somebody else. So they're not going to force you to take it. But you're not getting your money back either. Okay, so if you don't want a property, they're not going to force you to take it. The government will take the property over a period of time. They will take the property and they will resell it into the marketplace. But if you buy a tax lien certificate, the reason you should have bought the tax lien certificate is to earn money, which is a good idea. Okay. And then, but if they stopped paying you, you should have looked at the lot, understand what its value was. You don't want to go, auction lists are massive. Some tax lien auction lists will have 40 or 50,000 certificates on them. Well, if you got that many certificates, you need to look at those properties and understand what they are. Now, let me tell you something. The people that are asking, these are deep questions they're asking, by the way. These are not surface questions. All right. So I have every Wednesday night, and Austin, you can show them this if you will. Every Wednesday night, I actually pay a coach to come and answer my clients' questions. So they can't get a freebie like we're here on the YouTube thing. But if they're a client and they had a question like that, I provide them with a coach every single Wednesday night. And the coach might have 100 people on that call answering questions. And we've done that every year for 14 years now. So Austin, you got a little video of that you could show people. So they could
I think we do have a video of that we can show. And Austin's going to tee it up right now. Take a look.
Yeah. Just so you know, some nights there's 100 people on that call. We do that every single Wednesday night for 14 years. So the questions that people are asking about, each one of these is different. So if you're a brand new person that came on and they're asking questions about buying tax liens that they don't want, well, why would you buy it in the first place? Don't invest your money the county's not going to give you back your money. I can assure you of that. If you give your money to the government, you'll have signed enough papers, that money's gone. So just, if you don't want it, well, just walk away then. Don't go through the process of of taking the property into your portfolio, and then you don't want it. You don't have to. They're not going to force you to do anything like that.
Another good question here, Ted. If I purchase a tax lien with a redemption period of 2 years, do I have to pay the taxes for both years?
Well, I'll tell you two answers to that. First answer is when you buy a tax lien certificate, if the next year hasn't been paid, they will ask you, do you want to pay it? And your answer should be yes, because now you've solidified that you own all the tax liens on the property if there was two of them to pay. All right, but you don't have to pay the subsequent year. If you don't pay the subsequent year, it's no problem. Someone else can pay it, and that someone else is going to earn money on that second year.
Another viewer is worried about the inflation and wanting the best interest rate. What state pays the highest?
Oh, you'd have to look that up in the States. If you're talking about tax lien certificates, I can tell you that, but you're going to get money based on the certificate. So if you're trying to make money on any other kind of thing, the states they'll have rates posted. But with the tax lien certificates, the legislature sets the rate. So the highest rate that I know of is in Illinois, and that's 36%. And that's followed by Iowa at 24%. Now, Texas has a different system. It's not a tax lien, it's a redeemable deed. And some redeemable deeds, you can earn up to 50%. Now, that's another whole ballgame that's much different than tax liens. It's redeemable deeds, and that means you're bidding on property, not on tax lien certificates.
Well, another viewer out there, Ted, is wondering, do you offer one-to-one mentorship?
Absolutely. They have one-to-one mentorship. They have people that will take you just solo to an auction with, if you want to do that. They have small groups. Most people do it in a small group. It's actually better in a small group because you get the questions from all the other people. But if people want to do it one-on-one, they can do that too.
Mr. Manow wants to know, and you may have answered this, but let's ask it again. It's important. Before I make an over-the-counter purchase, will I have enough time to do research on the property before making that initial investment?
Okay, well, over-the-counter means that the county has foreclosed on the property. They have moved the people off the property, and the county owns the property. It'll just be setting at the county. There's no pressure unless you knew someone else was going to go bid on it. The only other pressure you'd have was someone else bidding on it. So most people don't even know what the words over the counter mean. And in some places they won't call it that. They'll call it the forfeited lands or the surplus lands list. They have different names for it. So I doubt very much there'd be on any pressure.
Well, this next one isn't a question, Ted. It's from Haroon. He just says, can you tell Ted I really appreciate his videos? So you got to appreciate her, at least one out there, Ted.
Well, thank you. That was nice of you to say that. A lot of people come on, they just want to see if they can trick you. They're trying to trick you with something that one little thing that they learn, they try to trick you. After you've been doing it as long as I've done doing it, I'm not offended by it because the other part of the audience learns. So thanks for being one of the people that learn.
Well, here's a question, and I'm sure you won't be tricked by it, but how long is the turnaround time after I purchase a tax lien certificate?
Well, we answered that earlier, but I'll answer it again. I can't give you an answer to it because it's not a turnaround time. It's you buy a tax certificate, you paid someone else's taxes. Now, when that person finally comes in and pays their taxes is when you're going to get paid. So if it was a place like Florida, it could be as short a time as 2 years. If it's in Arizona, it could be as much as 3 years. So it's going to be different in whatever the legislature for that state says. So if you look at an auction brochure, let me grab it. This is just an auction brochure. You would look in the back of it and you would read, and they would tell you what the rules are for that auction. We're talking about 5,000 auctions every year in 3,000 different counties. There's no way I know all that, but I do know I just look it up, and I can look it up in any county in the United States. I mean, I have databases to do all that. And you have the same databases if you want. Just go start researching the counties for that state and then research the rules, go through the process, and that none of this is hidden. And so it'll be different for every state and for different counties. Sometimes one county, it'll be this many months, it'll be another different months on the county right next door. It's up to the local government. I don't make the rules. I just learn how to adapt to them.
That might be the answer to this next question, but I want to test you, Ted, because there's a very specific question about a very, very specific county. How long is the redemption period in Collier County, Florida? Off the top of your head, Ted, come on. I know you know this.
I can take it. It's easy. Yeah, the redemption period in Florida is 2 years. So if you buy a tax lien certificate, that certificate can stay outstanding for 2 years. So that means you can't go on the property, you can't bother the people, but if they don't pay you at the end of 2 years, then you have to go to the county and say, they didn't pay me. The county then will say, okay, and they will have another auction and they will sell that and they'll sell it to the public, and that'll be a tax deed auction. And when the people buy that tax deed, then you'll get paid.
Okay. Now, you've mentioned before that the county will evict all homeowner occupants from the house. Question is from one of the viewers, is that true for all counties? Do they do that in all counties?
It's up to the county treasurer. The most powerful person in the government probably is the county treasurer. Now, the legislature might say to the county board of supervisors, make sure you evict everybody, but the treasurer doesn't do it because they feel sorry for him. That's kind of like Republicans and Democrats. They have differences. So nobody gets in a fight about it, but you might get a property, there's someone in it.
Next question is a good one. Are all counties hosting online auctions now?
To my knowledge, they're all online. If they're not, they will be. I mean, when I started, there was no counties online, but to my knowledge, they're all online. If they're not, they'll still post it, and you can still do the auction without it being online.
Okay. Well, here it is. Next question. What's on the back of your shirt today? They must have joined late because you showed us, but
yeah, they're late.
How about, yeah, I know, but go ahead, give them another look, Ted.
There's a big bug.
It is. What kind of bug? Is that a moth, Ted?
It's a moth.
Boy, that is psychedelic, man. Where do you shop for your shirts? That's not a question from your viewers. That's just for me. Where do you find those groovy shirts?
They're all Walmart specials.
Okay, excellent. Walmart's a great place. So let's see if we have any more questions today.
Okay, you run out of questions? Okay. Well, I want to tell you something while we're waiting. And Austin, you can get it prepared. So we get questions about this all the time. So we actually take small groups of people, we call them buying tours, and actually go to auctions. And what we do is we get them all together, and then we give them classes, which they stay at home and take on their computer. And then we all meet at the auction site, and then we decide, we're going to go out and tour the properties and look at them and decide which ones are going to bid on and what the values are and so on. Usually takes 2 or 3 days. And so we do that on a regular basis. So I had one of the guys in the studio put a couple of seconds together so you can see that.
All right.
So Austin, you show that video. I think we have a buying tour video.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that right now. We'll see that buying tour video right now, Ted.
Here's some ideas. So we do that. We do that about every other month. There's some of a whole group that want to go on these tours together. So they go and they buy certificates. If you notice that last one, the woman had 73 in front of her. She was 92 years old just before she went to the auction, and she was the first one to buy a property. 92 years old. So there's hope for you and I.
We got a couple more questions coming in here, Ted. After I purchased the tax lien certificate in Florida, after the 2-year redemption, am I the new owner of the house?
That's a question I just answered, so I'll do it again because I didn't make it clear. When the property is a tax lien certificate, when you've bought a tax lien certificate in Florida, You've paid your money to the government. The government's using the money to pay county employees. Now you just sit there with your tax lien certificate, this piece of paper. It's on your desk. You don't do anything. So when the full 2 years is run, it's the end of the 2 years. Right now in Florida, you don't automatically own the property. Florida, you do not. All the other states you do, but Florida, you do not. So in Florida, you then have to go to the county. You can do that on the phone. You can do that with email and say, look, these people did not pay me on the tax certificate. So then the county will then have another auction, and they will add that property to the auction, and they will try to sell it at the auction. And they'll start that auction at whatever the back taxes are. Now, if nobody buys at that auction, you'll get the property. But if someone does buy, that'll bring in the money. All right, so when the money comes in, then they'll pay you whatever your investment was, plus whatever interest you would have earned in the 2 years. It's a long answer, but that's the way it works. 100% of the people that are buying have no idea what I just said, but I'm telling you, there's 2 auctions in Florida. It's the only state that does that.
And Michael wants to know, do you host buying tours in Pinellas County? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct.
Probably Pinellas County.
Pinellas.
Yeah, Pinellas is, if they don't do Pinellas, which is right next to the St. Pete, Florida, they'll be doing the property right next door. So yes, they do the Tampa Bay area. We do that regularly. That's kind of hometown for us. It's within an hour, 2 hours of where we're sitting.
And Leanna wants to know, when is your next buying tour for Houston, Texas?
It'll be sometime after the first of the year because we're booked up for the rest of this year. So sometime after the first of the year, they'll be in Houston. But you have to go through the whole class before you can get. We don't take you automatically to a tour. You have to go through all the class materials first. So if you want to do something, you need to, once a month, I do a 6-hour virtual seminar. 6 hours virtual seminar. It's this Saturday, as a matter of fact. And that virtual seminar goes all day for the 6 hours. Now, people, after that, they decide whether they want to do this business. If you decide you want to do this business, we'll teach it to you, but we won't take you to an auction if you haven't been through a class. There's so much going on before the auction that you need to know that's important. The auction is just the culmination of the whole thing. So clients that have been with us for 3 months, 6 months, some people will go to auction buying tours with us 2 or 3 times before they ever buy. Some people will go to the classes we have 2 or 3 times, because once a person comes to class, they can keep going to class as long as they want with us. We don't just throw them out. They can just go to. So there's so much to do before the auction. We would never take a person to auction if they hadn't been through the training. If they haven't been through the training, there's just too much risk. The auction is not like what people think. People think they're going to raise their hand and they're going to be rich and leave that auction. That's why people lose money. Without the training, you are really exposing yourself to a very dangerous place. When you buy this property from the government, it's over. I'm telling you, once you have given them their money, you're not getting it back. And if you have made a mistake, you're going to own the mistake. Now, I'm not trying to scare you. I've been in this business for 30 years, and I haven't seen all the mistakes, but boy, I've seen a lot of them. The people that come to me after they bought something that they shouldn't have bought, I can't fix it. It's impossible. The money's gone to the government. So I'm telling you, get yourself trained. If you believe that you know everything, I'd go to a half a dozen auctions before I ever spend a dime. But people won't do that. It's not the American way. The American way is reach over here, you got a 6-gun, and they start firing it. And that's your dollars going through the barrel of that pistol. I can tell you right now. There's a lot of people that lose money at auctions, and you're not going to hear anybody tell you about it. I'll tell you about it. I've been in the same business for 30 years, and you can ask anybody that knows me. Our students come out with $25,000, $50,000, and sometimes more. I can name off 4 or 5 people that make $100,000 a year every year at these auctions because they were trained. Okay, so we're not training you to be a killer, but we are training you so that you're an educated buyer. So I'm not timid about telling you, don't start going to auctions and think you're going to get rich. Now, there's some people that happens to, yeah, but I'm going to tell you, there's some people that buy and they get killed. and your money's gone. You're not getting your money back. You can get your attorney. He can sue the government. The government's told you before you put the money up, your money is gone. They're going to tell you that. And I'm going to tell you right now, you can get all the attorneys you want. You're not going to reverse that.
We must have a lot of
Nobody wants
viewers
to tell
from
you the
Texas.
truth. I'll tell you the truth. I've been doing this for a long time.
I think we have a lot of viewers from Texas, Ted, because another question, and this is, how often does Texas host auctions?
Folks, you love Texas. I love Texas. Everybody loves Texas. Okay. Californians are moving out to Texas. New Yorkers are moving out to Texas. Why are they doing that? Because Texas is great. So I love Texas. And here's what you're going to love about Texas. Okay. 254 counties. That means there's 254 auctions if the county wants to every month. All right. Why would you like Texas? Because on the first Tuesday of the month, they're going to have an auction in that county. Now, the county can choose if they don't want to have an auction. If they only have a few properties, they'll say, oh, we'll wait till next month. I've gone to the auction in Houston a half a dozen times myself. I've never seen less than 200 properties at that auction. Texas is a redeemable tax state. Once you learn about it, you're next to what I call a gold mine. Texas is unbelievable.
Well, Junie wants to know, does this business require a lot of time?
Yes, it takes you at least, if you're doing it full time, at least 10 hours a month. If you're doing it part time, it'll take you 5 hours a month. You can do this business part time. Why? Because you get educated first, and you always know when the auction is. So you can sit on your rusty dusty and do most of it right at your computer. Then when you finish that, you can either go look at the property yourself, which I don't buy anything I don't look at. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't buy anything I don't look at. All right, so you can do it yourself, or you can have other people go look at for you. Bidding in an auction, the longest I've ever seen an auction take is an online one. They're very slow online. They take 8 or 10 hours. But a regular auction, with the exception of places like Los Angeles, will only take a few hours. So you don't need a lot of time. This is a preparation, education business. It's not what you think it is. It's not buy a property, fix it up, and sell it. The money goes to the people that are educated in this business. They get it all. All the other people go, they raise their hand, they spend their money. Many of them lose it. They're not coming back after they get their butt kicked. That's for sure.
Well, here's somebody who must live in Florida who wants to know, when will the auctions be in Florida?
Florida has auctions in some counties, like Orlando is Orange County, most of it, and part of it's Seminole County. Those counties have an auction every 2 weeks. Place like Miami will do it once or twice a year. So Jacksonville will do one once or twice a year. You're getting Hillsborough County, which is Tampa. They'll do a tax defaulted auction once a year. So, but some counties are very efficient. Once they know that they're gonna, like Orlando will have 8 or 10 properties every 2 weeks. So you just have to look up your county or the county you want to go to. There's 3,000 counties, 3,000 plus. They all have their own rules. Every one of them has their own rules.
Well, how much would you recommend in cash to have to start with to make it worth the time?
Well, it's always worth the time because you're going to have to get educated. So if you don't have money, go do everything and get educated. And then when you can get money, if you're educated, I'll tell you right now, people will give you money because Americans always want someone else to work for them. So if you get educated, you can do deals with other people. However, having enough money is the key. Small deals are okay. So I have a couple in Michigan that just recently bought a property. $8,000 was the investment. They spent $4,000 cleaning it up. They sold it and they did an installment sale. When they got all finished, they made $48,000 in payments from that property. They invested 12, they'll come out with 48. So they made about $35,000. So you can do it. You just have to do it right and take your time doing it. It's not a get rich quick overnight. It is not get rich quick overnight. Now, I'm not telling you that some people don't buy in and come out with $100,000 in 6 months, but that's not what we sell. We tell people this is going to take you a little while. If you need to get rich quick, do it. Go watch the night television or something like that. It's not that business. But if you want a business that you can do long term for the rest of your life, this is it. I mean, I've been doing this for more than 30 years, and the business just gets better every year. and it will continue to get better because there's more property every year.
You know, Ted, I've had an opportunity to hear you talk a lot about this, and I picked up some things, but here's a question with a term I'm not really sure of. The question is, I've heard of GIS, but I don't understand what that is.
Did you say DIS?
GIS.
GIS? Is it like George, item, silver?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Oh, all right. All right. The person is probably referring to the GIS mapping system, Geographical Information System. Okay. Now, almost all counties in the United States have this system. And if they have it, it's your county, you want to use it. Why do you want to use it? Because the county's going to give it to you free. All right. So now the GIS mapping system is a satellite. The satellite is up above, and it now can come down on the property that you choose. You can bring it down 30,000, 10,000, 5,000 to the point where you can see a geranium on the front porch. So that's one of the ways, only one of the ways we teach people to evaluate property. The GIS mapping system. That's only one of the ways to check property condition. But as you go up, you can see the floodplains, you can see the topography. Did I say it right? Topography. You know, you can see where the mountains are and the stuff like that. So you can see that. Then you can see whether you can look at it back, go back 10 years. You can see maybe the city's moving towards it. What does that mean? That means the prices are going up. All right, what if you see the city moving away? Whoa, the prices might be going down. There's a lot you can do it. I can't teach that in a 1-hour class, but the point is that's a valuable tool, and most counties have it.
And Justin wants to know, I can't decide between tax liens or deeds. Can you point me the right way?
Yes. Do tax liens and deeds. That wasn't a
both,
joke.
huh?
Just learn them both. That's what you have to do. Learn them both. And figure out what your state does. Every county in the United States sells tax deeds. Half of the counties in the United States are benevolent, so they sell tax liens, give people a longer time to pay because they don't want to lose the property and so on. So they both have advantages. Okay, you want to get rich, you're going to do tax defaulted property. It's going to take you a while to do that, but when you can make 25 and 50,000 a deal, how about just rinse and repeat? If you made it 25 or 50 on one, let's do it again. Then let's do it again. That's how people get rich.
So the next question here, Ted, after the one-day virtual event, will I need any other training?
The one-day virtual is just to show you what training you need. You are not going to learn this business in 6 hours. Forget that. You are not going to learn to get rich in 6 hours. You're going to learn what you need to get rich. Okay, that 6 hours will tell you what you need. You'll need quite a bit. It took me years. I've been in real estate 30 years before I got into tax liens and deeds. There's a whole new education, and I've been doing this one 30 years. 99% of the real estate brokers in the world don't even know what we're talking about. Tax lien, what's that? They don't even know. This is a whole new ball game, and once you learn it, wow, you've got something you can use. You can use this. This business is never going away. If we have a United States 100 years from now, I can tell you right now, you'll still be able to do this business. They started this back in the colonial days. You know, people that were president of the United States had tax liens, and they got tax liens filed on their property because they didn't pay the president in those days. Guess what? They didn't pay their taxes. So they were going to take the property away. So this business has been around a long, long time. You are not going to learn it in 6 hours. So stop thinking about that.
But you will learn kind of what you need to learn. And I do know we have a little bit of video here about some of the classes where you will learn this stuff.
Why don't we show them that right now? And we'll see you guys next Tuesday. I hope you learned a lot. I'm grateful that you're all here. Okay, Austin, it's up to you.
Take it away, Austin.